All right, y'all can choose to keep this or cut this or whatever decides to happen in your soul, but can I talk to y'all for a second? Yes, no, maybe so? All right, I can't really see y'all. This is like my favorite poem in the world, and I have to tell you the backstory before we perform it just so it feels like it makes a little bit of sense. But I we all have experienced the pandemic, and just before the pandemic, my wife and I found out that we were gonna have a baby. Right, and so we now have 2 kids. We did a lot of work during the pandemic, but I pride myself on kind of just going with the flow, on being cool, right? And I was completely flustered the first time that we saw the ultrasound and listened to the Doppler, right? It was my daughter in there, right? And I'm like, yo, I don't even know how to act, We listened to the heartbeat, and the midwife asked, do you want to record it? And I'm like, with what? My phone's in my hand. I don't know if y'all ever had that moment before, but I was unraveled. I didn't know how to act. And it was because the beauty of the moment was this is my family. This is my legacy. This is the way that my father felt listening to me. You know what I mean? And it was such a special moment. And we heard her heartbeat in August. Pandemic turns around, my daughter's born in February, and in that moment in August, I imagined all of the things that she might be, and all the things that she might like, and the things that she might do, or, right, all of this stuff, and, she's so wonderful. And it's crazy to see everything come full circle, and, I know we're here talking about Juneteenth, or really talking about solidarity, or unity, or things of that nature, but, my world was changed when I found out that I would be someone's first love. You know what I mean? And it caused me to move differently, to think differently. My activism looks different now because I know it's different when you're standing, you know what I mean? Your community sometimes feels aloof or distant, or the people whom you're standing in solidarity with are sometimes screens, the squares on a screen, and it's real. My daughter sits in front of me every day. You know what I mean? And so as I think about, the reason why we do this work or why any of this is important, I'm reminded every time that I hear what is now my favorite song, right? My daughter's heartbeat. And so this is a poem about my baby Zion. The poem would read, I remember asking for you. I remember whispering your name over the ends of my fingertips while I spoke to God. I remember hearing your heartbeat, playing it on repeat. Your bass lines and drum beats convinced me that you had already sat at the feet of your ancestors. You sounded like soul music, like a live band, like the opening track to an album that I'd never heard, but it always been my favorite song. I'm just glad that you're an artist. I can tell by the hieroglyphs written on the sides of your mother's abdomen, only a fool would call them stretch marks. I call them stencils, giving you the ability to trace your existence back to your first home, the evidence of your first miracle, the mosaic of majestic maternity perfectly, purposely providing you with certainty that your mother's body sat at the precipice of your eternity internally. I hope that you understand your brilliance, that resilience is written in the fabric of your being, that your bloodlines know the full spectrum of freedom and captivity and will only accept the former, have navigated uncharted waters, have taken disconnected islands and made them a nation. I can tell by your heartbeat, by how rapid and rhythmic that life flows through your body, that you have torch-bearing hands, shoulders built for a legacy, and a smile that can inject joy into decaying dreams. I can tell by your heartbeat that you will groove like your grandfathers, that you will hammer dance when the world tries to tell you to two-step. I can tell by your heartbeat that you will love like your grandmothers, living perfectly at the intersection of honesty and agape. I can tell by your heartbeat that prayers are met with answers, that your laughter will become the soundtrack to my favorite memories, and I'll be ready for the days that your tears ask the whys of this broken world, when your spirit just won't accept the reasonless no's. The first time that you challenge a false narrative shot in your direction, they will try to call you an activist. I will tell them that you were just raised properly, that you're accustomed to knowing the truth. Your Genesis will bring me revelations. My mistakes will become our lessons. And when they try to tell us the broken stories of black fathers, the naive narrative of absence, I will play them, your living drum patterns, and lay down my vocals to the tune of our rewritten narrative. I will tell them that I remember asking for you, that I whispered your name over the ends of my fingertips, and your heartbeat is the evidence that God can make fatherhood sound like music.